Liverpool, West Ham, you know what? It's huge now. It was always big, but it's massive now in the context of Chelsea have dropped points. Liverpool have managed to keep the momentum going, and it's a must-win game at Anfield. West Ham coming to us. We battered them earlier on this season. They have gone through a bit of a tactical change in recent weeks. There is some sort of positive signs from them, but we can look into all that today. We also have to discuss Rio Ngumoha, his involvement with the team. We're going to predict our starting 11 for the match against West Ham today. And yeah, plenty to come. So make sure you stay tuned. Thank you, everyone coming in, getting involved. Make sure to get like and subscribe. Go to AnfieldIndex.com. There's all written articles over there. We're going to be going through that today. We're going to go through the pieces that have been posted over the past 24 hours. And yeah, this is Daily Red. It's all the latest Liverpool news in a sort of not a match build-ups are always weird, but in terms of breaking news, there hasn't been anything major, but there has been a lot of talk about the youth team and the players that have left. There's been two particular young players who are leaving the club this summer or are leaving the club now who were viewed as potential big players in the future. Who knows? One of whom was the ball boy against Barcelona, who gave Trent the ball for the corner taken quickly. And yeah, as I said, we're going to sort of go through the West Ham debacle and all the situations that come around there. So we'll start off with that. We're going to do Liverpool versus West Ham. We're going to predict our starting 11 and we're going to go over West Ham as a whole. Now, as a side, West Ham this season have certainly been interesting to say the least. They are in the relegation zone. They're currently 2 points behind Nottingham Forest, I believe. They're currently in 18th place. So they are one of the three sides set to go down. But they have seen a significant improvement in recent weeks. They've beaten Tottenham. They've beaten Sunderland. There's been a vast improvement in the attacking options they have. Mateus Fernandez has found a rich vein of form from him. And there has been steady improvements from them. Enough to see them survive? We're not sure because Forest are improving. Obviously, I think at the minute, if any team is sort of likely to drop down, it is Tottenham due to the injuries. But even then, I'm not convinced. So it might be a bit too little too late for West Ham. But the worry is they are going to they're building momentum as they're coming to Anfield at a time where, yes, Liverpool are picking up wins, but we look as though we're struggling. We look as though we're struggling to find any sort of attack and momentum. Defense has been solid, can't dispute that, but we just lack that sort of bite in midfield, which isn't helped by the fact that there is no Florian Wirtz for the game today. It was confirmed by Arne Slot. Florian Wirtz will not be fit for the Liverpool game. However, there has been a few players who are back. There is a few players whose fitness has allowed them to come back into training, namely Jeremy Frimpong. Does that mean he'll start today? Well, we'll get onto that shortly. But yeah, we're going to predict the starting 11 for this West Ham match today. Vital win is needed if we want to continue our push for top 5, especially, as I say, with Chelsea dropping points. And I think United have Palace at home. So, you know, the odds of them dropping points to Palace at the minute are minuscule, but you never know. And we've got to be ready to capitalise. We've got to be ready to jump on the opportunity should these points be dropped around us. Because that's something that we haven't done enough of this season, is we've not taken our chances. We've not progressed whenever those around us have gone through transitions or have been stagnating or struggling. Villa dropping points last night to Wolves as well only further emphasises that there is a push for top 5. There is a race there. We can do it, but we have to win games like this against relegation teams that are battling relegation. And West Ham are a prime example. So these are the two teams that played the other day. Now, the worry that we have this season is defensively out wide, we often get caught out by attacking triangles. Bournemouth was a prime example of them ripping us apart on either flank because they kept width. West Ham this season have sort of been utilising their attackers as deeper players. So you've got the likes of Bowen, who earlier on this season, his main role was just stay out wide, hold the width. Same with Wan-Bissaka or Kyle Walker-Peters as it was earlier this season. Just keep the width. Don't allow any sort of central passes from yourself. Don't move into the middle. Now they are a lot more central. You've had Wan-Bissaka at points operating in midfield, form a passing range partnership with Souček. That was a tongue twister. And you've had Fernandez dropping in between the two centre-backs, and he's someone who can create direct passing lanes through the middle as a result. We've seen that time and time again from them in the recent matches. The game, I think it was the Sunderland game where he scored those incredible goals, Fernandez. They've found a system that works for them. They've got constant rotations going on, constant attacking triangles. Jarrod Bowen is dropping into deep positions to receive the ball. Castellanos is doing the exact same thing with the intention of linking these three up and you've got someone on the overlap or on the underlap who's running into space. So they've found a system that works for them, and it's all about holding width. It's all about exposing the midfield, the fullbacks, and it's all about making sure that they can catch us off guard on attacking transitions. And that's something that we have struggled with earlier this season. It's when teams do hold their shape well, they then hit us on counter-attacking transitions. We're very open, very exposed. And that's going to sort of sway into who should start for us today. Somerville, in particular, has caused us nightmares in the past. That Leeds winner at Anfield to break, I think that was when we ended the home record of not losing for a few years. That was devastating. Bowen has started to pick up a bit in form. Castellanos has certainly improved the team since his arrival. He's a physical powerhouse who drops deep and is able to sort of overload the midfield. Mateus Fernandes has found a bit of form. So there's a worry there. And of course, this man, Diouf, is absolutely someone who I think Liverpool should be looking to bring in one day in the future. He's just top quality Diouf. And I think he sort of represents the modern day fullback to a T, where he's capable in a defensive sense, but his main threat is his attacking output as a fullback. In terms of what he provides for West Ham this season, in the Premier League, he's in the top 2% of fullbacks for shots on target. He's also in the top 2% for successful dribbles, attempting 3 per 90 with a 60% success rate. Touches in the opposition box, he's in the top 2%, but he also ranks in the top 6% for recoveries, possession won in the final third. He's a very aggressive fullback, is Diouf, and today, we're really going to have to find a way to try and contain that left-hand side. Pace has been undoing at points, and having Diouf drifting up and having Somerville there, who throughout the season has been having to come deep with his back sort of towards defenders. Now his main aim is hit them on the half-turn and exploit space in between. So him and Diouf up that left-hand side is really going to be a nightmare for us if we don't find a way to contain it. And that's going to sway into our decision-making for who starts today. So we'll start off with goalkeeper. Now, despite Slot actively pushing for Mamardashvili or anything but, basically coming out and saying, look, Ali's number one. We've got one good goalkeeper. Oh, and Mamardashvili's there too. It says it all. Alisson's going to start. Of course, he's number one for a reason. Left back, we've got Kerkez and Robertson. Now, we do play Wolves on Tuesday, so a 3-day turnover, and then following that, we've got Wolves again 3 days later away from home in the FA Cup, so another 3-day turnover after that. For me, I think Kerkez starts again today. It wasn't the best against Forest, did struggle at points, but I think everyone struggled in that game. I know Kerkez has been getting used a lot recently, but I think if you're going to play Andrew Robertson against anyone, it's probably going to be Wolves, who, yes, they've started to find a bit of momentum under Rob Edwards. Yes, there's a bit of improvement. But I think if you're playing West Ham, who the likes of Bowen, Wan-Bissaka flying up high, Castellanos has been occasionally drifting out wide, I think you trust Kerkez that bit more. The only rationale I can think for maybe playing Robertson is because Bowen has been dropping deep at points, because he has been sort of coming into these areas. He's been pulling the fullback with him at times, and that's creating space up here. And now, as much as Kerkez has improved, he does fall for those plays sometimes still. He does still fall for the deep run or the fake run to try and pull you out of position. And the minute he does that, we then end up in a back three, or whoever's the double pivot's going to have to drop into left back. Kerkez needs to not get caught out by it today. Honestly, the attacking triangles that West Ham deploy, with Bowen dropping in, Castellanos dropping into the middle, Wan-Bissaka pushing into the midfield, those three create a passing triangle behind them to unleash someone on the wing. That is a concern if Kerkez is not up for it today. He needs to make sure that he's not falling for those runs. He needs to make sure that he's not being pulled out of position left, right, and centre. But I think you play Kerkez today, you rest him against Wolves, and then you could maybe rest him in the FA Cup game as well with a bit of rotation there. It's free. If you think about it like this, our last two matches, before the Forest game, if you'd have said to us, right, your next 3 games are against the 3 teams in the relegation zone, and then you're going to play one of those teams in the FA Cup, you'd have bitten anyone's hand off for that. That's an amazing situation to be in. We played Forest, then West Ham, then Wolves. So we've literally drip down. I know Burnley are in the relegation zone. I know Forest aren't, but the relegation battle sides. If you said to anyone, you're going to play these 3 teams in a row and then play one of them again in the FA Cup, you'd think, perfect, that's brilliant. Forest wasn't great. This West Ham game has potential to be a lot more lethal in terms of attacking transitions. In midfield, they are still fairly vulnerable. They do like to keep the midfield narrow, which could cause us some headaches, but they don't quite have the work rate of a Gibbs White or an Elliot Anderson or an Ibrahim Sangare. Souček can be got around. You know, there is still teething issues at the moment for Magassa. He's still improving. Fernandez, superb player when he's progressing play from deep, but in terms of his overall pressing of the ball, I don't think he's quite up to a high enough level, I don't think. But yeah, Kerkez, he needs to focus on not getting pulled out of position by Bowen. And yeah, hold your position. Jurgen Klopp is coming back. If you can back that up with an article or something, I will be over the moon. Then we've got Van Dijk, Konate, of course, right back. Now, obviously, like I said before, there is no Florian Wirtz. Wirtz is missing this game. So, you know, devastating for him, devastating for us. I'm just getting all the players who will be subs on the bench now. Frimpong has returned from his injury. There we go. That'll do for now. So, yeah. Obviously, there is no Florian Wirtz, and I think this pretty much influences who will start at right back, because Szoboszlai is not going to be a right back if there is no Florian Wirtz. I understand he did against Forest, but I think Slot learned his lesson. If you look at the average position of the team in the second half, Szoboszlai actually ends up taking a more central and higher up role than Curtis Jones. If you look at the first half, it's the opposite. So I think he learned as the match went on, you need Szoboszlai in midfield, and I don't think he's going to play him there today. I think if anything, he's going to put Joe Gomez at right back. At least that's what I would be doing. I don't know if Slot will feel the same. He'll probably stick with the same starting 11, even though, you know, it didn't do anything against Forest, really. And yeah, I think this will be the one where Jones comes back into the starting 11. I think he needs to. It's too early for Frimpong to be thrown in, especially when, as I say, you're competing against the likes of Juve and you're playing against Somerville. That is a lot of energy and a lot of speed down that right-hand side, down that left-hand side even. For Frimpong in his first game back, I understand it's Gomez as well, coming back early on from an injury, but he's been fit for a few weeks. It's just been about managing his minutes and getting him the occasional minute here and there. I think this suits Gomez more, providing who's ahead of him is coming back and offering a bit of defensive support. Salah is going to have to really work. Yes, Salah is probably going to start today. But yeah, I think that will be the back line. Kerkez, Van Dijk, Konate, Gomez. And then in your midfield, would Alexis McAllister start? He has played a lot of 90 minutes recently, but I think Slot is looking for a reason not to play Jones personally. I don't think Jones will be in the team, and I think your double pivot will stay the same of McAllister and Gravenberch. Both of them, they are going to be relied upon to offer support in these areas, especially, like I say, if Bowen is coming deep. Let me just sort of put them as and where they need to be. Magassa, Souček, Somerville, sort of there. You got Juve, you got Castellanos, Disasi. I forgot Disasi was at West Ham. I'm going to be completely honest with you. And then Wan-Bissaka. So yeah, yeah. It does depend on those attacking players. Like I said, Bowen is coming deep. That tends to pull Kerkez towards him. I'll sort of connect the two of them together. So yeah, you got Bowen, Kerkez there. Whenever Bowen does drop deep, it's to pull the fullback away. You've then got Fernandez, Wan-Bissaka even, who's going a bit more central at points. So he's there to create a sort of triangle between the three of them. And then when you do that, you've then got Castellanos dropping in and you've got Magassa running on, or you've got Fernandez who's pushing on and Castellanos dropping there. So it is those attacking triangles that are going to cause headaches for Liverpool in this game. And I think a backline of Kerkez, Van Dijk, Konate and Gomez is more than capable of handling that. It is about how the midfielders around them are going to support them. How are they going to drop back and actually provide a bit of defensive support and a bit of defensive structure for that back line when they do get pulled out of position? Because it will happen at points. It absolutely will. McAllister's going to need to be on it. If it was down to me, I'd be having Jones over McAllister. I know he had a bad game against Forest. I know McAllister scored the winner, but I just think if you're wanting a bit more defensive capability, I would say Jones is the man to do it. And if you're wanting a few more direct balls through the middle, I'd say at the moment Jones is doing that better than McAllister. But you can't deny that McAllister is still up for a fight in it. It's just whether or not he actually wins those battles, because he's going against very, very physical players in terms of Souček, in terms of Fernandez, in terms of Castellanos. There's so many physical players in this West Ham team, and that's what they've predicated it on. It's not energy per se, it's physicality. Then on midfield, I'd say it's McAllister, Gravenberch, with Szoboszlai going in at the number 10. And then it'll be Salah on the right. It will be Ekitike through the middle, and then the left wing. Now, this left wing goes into a topic that has been of massive discussion, and that is Rio Ngumoha. Now, Slot had this to say the other day. It's only very positive that people start to talk about him. I would love people to talk about all the players I have on the bench like that. I really like where he is in his development. I would be surprised if he does not get more minutes. I mean, that's in your control, just saying that. But does this mean that he is going to probably start against West Ham? I highly doubt it. I think if anything at all, he will get a couple minutes against West Ham today, maybe 20. Then he'll get a couple against Wolves on Tuesday, and then he will start the FA Cup game. That would be my understanding of it. I understand that Slot wants to win the FA Cup. I know he wants to win Champions League. He needs a trophy. He's fully aware of that. He's going all out in the FA Cup this season, as we've seen with his team selections. But we need to rotate, and Gakpo at the minute has been awful. There was no two ways around it. He's only had 2 goal contributions since, I think it was we played West Ham in October. The last time we played West Ham, he's had 2 goals since then. One was Fulham, and I think the other was Bournemouth. So, he's not doing enough in the team. At least Ngumoha adds a bit of attack and threat, and at least he adds a bit of directness. These comments from Slot, people would think immediately that means Ngumoha is going to start. I don't think he will. It will be Gakpo. It will be Ekitike. It will be Salah. Ekitike, does he have a lot of... He really doesn't have much rotation option. If anything, I expect Chiesa to come on for a little bit centrally. Beyond that, not a lot really. Salah could go there, but I highly doubt he will. It is just a lack of depth at the moment. It's mental. We've signed Isak, we've got Chiesa, we've got Ngumoha, and yet we feel as though we have nothing up top at the moment to sort of rotate. Ngumoha is not going to start this game as much as we would like him to, as great as he was when he came on against Forest, and as great as he's been in all pre-season, in the fixture, in the appearances he's made. He's not going to start today, which, Arne is just very predictable. Arne Slot, he always says these things, and it's very, very rare that he makes any sort of startling changes. That's why I've put Gomez to start at right back, but I would not be surprised if he just put Szoboszlai there and still kept Jones in midfield, saying it was just a one-off game. It wouldn't surprise me, and it needs to change. It needs to improve. Having Ngumoha there at least adds something a bit different, a bit more direct, someone who's a bit more capable of stretching a back line with his play, not relying on everyone else to put balls in behind or stretch the play, because you need players like that. You need individuals who can beat someone and actually make things happen for themselves when no one else around us is capable of doing that. It's clear that the team linking up is not working. There is a clear disconnect in the squad at moments. And when those moments come, you need individual brilliance to carry us over the line. And that's Ngumoha. I'm not saying he's the second coming of Suarez or, Mane 2.0. I'm not saying that, but when he plays, you see the noticeable difference. You see the improvement. You see how much more aggressive we are in our attack. And Forest showed that. Most dribbles attempted, created the same amount of chances as Salah and Gakpo in 20 minutes as they did for the whole match before they got subbed off. It's lunacy that he's not playing more. And I don't think he's going to start this game, as I've already said, but he will get a 20-minute cameo, maybe a 25-minute cameo if we're struggling up till that point. If Gakpo does start scoring goals, who knows? But I do think if it's sort of in the same situation as we were against Forest, he will get another 20-minute cameo to sort of prove himself. And against the likes of Wan-Bissaka, Mavropanos, Wan-Bissaka's not a bad defender. He's actually very good. and I actually want to get his stats up because I think he's been criminally underappreciated Wan-Bissaka this season. So if you go in per 90 minutes in a defensive sense, he's producing 1.8 interceptions, 1.39 tackles. He's blocking 0.29 shots per 90 and producing 4.58 clearances, which is the top 6%. Gakpo against an Aaron Wan-Bissaka is not going to do anything because he just has one trick, which is face them up head on, try to cut inside, nothing happens, doesn't try to use width, doesn't try to beat them, doesn't try to get past them or play off the last shoulder. At least Ngumoha would give Wan-Bissaka a headache and actually try something different where Mavropanos would have to get stretched to go help him. Let me just put it on the screen. There we go. Like, if West Ham are in a defensive sense, Mavropanos, Disasi, Juve there. I'm going to use just the attackers for now. Gakpo, Szoboszlai, Salah, there we go. And then if it's Ngumoha, at least with Ngumoha, if Gakpo's on the pitch, all he does is stop there, and then inevitably the ball is going to go. Let me just see if I can find the thing. Can't find it quite, but anyway, it's going to go that way. It's all he does is stop, go that way. If Ngumoha was the one there, if Ngumoha was in that left wing position going up against Wan-Bissaka, who, like I said, is not a bad defender, he's actually quite good. At least you've got the option of he could go round him, he could go through him, he could go cut inside like we saw against Forest. He'll add different dimensions to his attack, whereas Gakpo does not do that. It's rinse and repeat. Wan-Bissaka will stand them up, he'll try and get past them, he'll get tackled. Ngumoha at least will give Wan-Bissaka something to think about. And if he's trying to get past him, Mavropanos is going to have to drift out to sort of help him, which is going to free up space for Ekitike. You're then going to have to have Fernandez drop deep to support, Magassa drop deep to support. And at that point then, you've got the likes of Szoboszlai from range who can make something happen. You've got space centrally for Salah to drop into. You've got McAllister who can push on. There's so many options there. And just keeping Gakpo on for the sake of it is mental. So I would like to see Ngumoha start, but I don't think he will. As I say, it's just deleted the starting 11. Let me just get that back up for you. So Gomez, Conrad's not there, then Mamardashvili, then Robbo, Frimpong, Nioni, Ngumoha, because they're the only ones that are realistically going to start. And as I say, I think it'll be Gomez at right back, and then I think it will be Szoboszlai at number 10, and they will be the only two changes. Alisson, Kerkez, Van Dijk, Konate, Gomez, Gravenberch, McAllister, Szoboszlai at number 10, Gakpo, Ekitike, Salah, with a 25-minute cameo for Ngumoha and Andrew Robertson to also come onto the pitch at some point to rotate with Kerkez, and then Robbo will start against Wolves in the midweek. Maybe the FA Cup, just to keep rotating and keep things going at the business end of the season, because now we know we've got Galatasaray in the Champions League. We know our fixture date. We have to keep rotating to make sure that everyone's fit as and when we need them. Score prediction. I've been getting it wrong so much lately. I said Forest to be like a 2-1 or something like that. Against the West Ham, I think West Ham will score a goal. I think 2-1. I think 2-1 is probably the most likely outcome, to be honest. West Ham will get something. They will get a goal. Of course they will. But I think that at the moment, the way that they attack is superb. But on defensive transitions, they are still struggling. They conceded against Sunderland. They conceded against Tottenham. They have the third most goals conceded in the league this season, which tracks to where they are in the table. Great in attacking moments. Defensively, they're still vulnerable, particularly through the middle. There's a big vulnerability there, having Mavropanos and Disasi as not a good centre-back partnership, let's be honest. I think Ekitike will get a goal in this game. The spell's gone on now for far too long where he hasn't. Newcastle was the last game where he scored, and that was 2 there. I think that West Ham will be a good game for him to really assert himself. He's going to have to drop a little bit deeper to support in that physical midfield against the likes of Souček, as I say, and Fernandez. But at the same time, he's going to have space to run into through the middle. It's all about how we handle those defensive attacking triangles from West Ham. It's all about making sure that no one is getting pulled out of position like Kirkes or Canate, who seems to be doing it a lot recently. We need to just make sure that we don't, or not can I say Van Dijk even, sorry. Van Dijk has been getting pulled out of position a lot. That whole left-hand side of the defence, very much like to follow the attacker. And if they go deep, people are getting in behind them. That can't happen against West Ham. I know that they're a team battling relegation, but those teams that we should have been beating this season are the ones that have been giving us headaches. Leeds, Burnley, Forest, Wolves, Sunderland. We've got to make sure that we can just get this one done and over the line and just get 3 points. We really miss Wirtz for a game like this. Even Wirtz at left wing would be such a weapon, but Dom and Flo running the 8 is where it should be if all healthy. We do miss Wirtz. There's no deny. I think it's a damning indictment of where we are this season, where a player we've just signed in the summer, who he himself is still acclimatized into the league and still getting used to how things work, with that reliant on him already. That is a worry. And I understand that key player, he was brought in to be a key player, but it should not be a case already of the minute he's out the team, there's no answers, there's no solutions. And there's still talented players in there. You've still got Szoboszlai, you've still got McAllister, you've still got Jones, you've still got, Ekitike up top, you've still got Salah. There's still talented players in the squad. We shouldn't be that overly reliant on Wirtz already. I'm going 2-1 to Liverpool. I think that's what it'll be as well. And I think West Ham will score first, actually. I don't think that they are going to go into this slow. They've got to, they know that they can survive. So they're going to push for it early on. And I think that they'll get the first one. If Wirtz was healthy, would you play him out wide or in the middle with Dom? If Wirtz is healthy, I'm always an advocate of playing him through the middle. I think if you maybe have Dom play a little bit deeper in that McAllister sort of role, and then Wirtz as the number 10, both of them sort of pushing on at times, leaving Gravenberch as the pivot in the middle. Szoboszlai's got the energy to track back and cover if you absolutely need them to. At the moment, though, the way that Gakpo is, I'm not adverse to ever seeing Florian Wirtz playing in left wing. I'm done seeing Gakpo play at the minute. At least Wirtz gives you an option of he can drift inside and he can help overload midfield. But if it's down to where I would prefer Wirtz to play if he's fit, it will always be the number 10 role. It's just what suits him best. He's in tight areas. He has the option of drifting out wide on the left. If it's specifically against West Ham, it's number 10. It's number 10. It'd be Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, Wirtz for me. I think McAllister, in this type of game where you've got to be quick and you've got to be on it, he has not been able to do that this season. I love Jones. He was awful against Forest, and I think that he's someone you will bring on a little bit later on if the fight's getting to us a bit too much. He'll probably play against Wolves, maybe start against them if McAllister starts today. If Wirtz is fit, I'm playing him, Szoboszlai, Gravenberch. I think that would be my midfield 3 at the moment because we're going to need intensity. I know that's not the most defensive sort of minded setup, but Szoboszlai is capable of dropping deep, and McAllister is not offering any sort of substantial defensive support at the moment anyway. So at least with Szoboszlai, you're getting something in attack. You're getting some sort of threat going forward that McAllister is not providing. And his defensive work is no different than what McAllister's actually been giving us so far this season. So I'm going to check this actually because I want to make sure. Alexis McAllister, in terms of his actual defensive stats per 90 minutes this season for Liverpool, 1.68 tackles, the bottom 23, bottom 18% for interceptions, bottom 40% for block shots, top 44% for possession won in the final third. And then we'll compare that to Szoboszlai, where Dominic Szoboszlai, that's like his defensive statistics per 90 minutes. Tackles, 1.52 is in the top 45%. So he's higher in tackles, interceptions, block shots, recoveries, possession won in the final third, clearances. He offers more in a defensive state at the moment than what McAllister's offering, and he's also offering more going forward. So I think if Wirtz was fit, I would be playing Wirtz number 10, Szoboszlai at the back with Gravenberch. Szoboszlai capable of pushing forward, offering some support there, and if he's got the capability of tracking back and helping defend if you absolutely need him to. Hot take, would you have Wan-Bissaka at Liverpool for depth? No. Look, Wan-Bissaka's great. at points. He's a good defender of the ball. He's great at standing people up. It is in an attacking sense where I think he lacks. And Liverpool are... Our fullbacks are predicated on what they're capable of doing going forward. Bradley is a decent defender at points, obviously not this season, but in the past, but he can still produce going forward. Wan-Bissaka as an attack sort of option is not the best player. And I also think for the age profile he is, he's 28 years old now. He's just turned 28 in November. I just don't... He's a decent player, but he's not someone I'd be looking at bringing in for depth. I think you need to bring in someone younger, perhaps, like one of the academy lads, and look to develop them. He's not a bad option, but he is going to cost you money. He doesn't suit the way that Slot wants to play, or, Liverpool fullbacks tend to play nowadays. He suits a West Ham who just need defensive support, just need someone who can sit back and stand up one-on-one with people. In an attacking ability sense, I just don't think he suits us, but he suits West Ham because he's not trusted with going forward that much. In terms of his overall forward attacking play, Wan-Bissaka, 0.93 crosses per 90 minutes. Not bad. That's top 20% of fullbacks. But his chances created, he's only on the top 61 percentile, 0.93. His long balls, 1.04. Assists, he averages 0.12 a match. So, don't get me wrong, it suits what West Ham need. I don't think it suits what Liverpool need. You're going to have him there for a couple of years, and that will pretty much do it. It's a lot of money for someone in that regard. Jimenez is someone that people keep talking about. Jimenez from Bournemouth. Jimenez, Paula. Yes, Alex Jimenez would be a great addition to the Liverpool team. 20 years old. He is only on loan on them, of course. I'm not sure. Is it Milan he's on loan from, if I remember correctly? I think it's AC Milan, if I'm remembering this correctly. But yeah, he's a superb player as well. Accurate long balls in the top 24 percentile. Successful dribbles, 1.5 per 90, with 50.9% of them coming off. In a defensive sense, 2.62 tackles per 90, which is actually more than Wan-Bissaka, top 29 percentile. Block shots, 0.48. Recoveries, 4.76. Very quick, very good player at making sure that if he does lose the ball, he can win it back. He's someone I would not mind being at Liverpool as an option going forward. It's just, I think the issue is because with Frimpong and Bradley being the players they are, being the age profiles they are, unless one of them goes, you're not going to get anyone else in like an Alex Jimenez who... He's already breaking into this Bournemouth team. He's at Milan. He's on loan, of course, so he could probably leave them soon if he's going out on loans already. But I think we'd need one of them two to leave, either Bradley or Frimpong, before someone of that sort of high-profile age comes in. Munoz from Palace is good too. He is good, but Palace, he's sort of a left wing back. Doesn't really... He's great going forward, don't get me wrong, but I think that he needs to sort of improve a bit more defensively at points. He would cost a lot of money to pry from Palace as well. He's a good player, though, I do agree. Javira Reed, I can never pronounce it, he's the one that I want. I did a video on him like a couple weeks ago where I was talking about 5 right-backs we could go out and sign. Arnau Fernandez was one of them. Javira Reed was one of them, absolutely. The statistical view of Javira Reed is up there with some of the best across Europe. Obviously at Feyenoord right now. The overall metrics of him is registered 0.34 assists per 90, which is in the top 13% of fullbacks in the Eredivisie. Successful passes, 86.3%, the top 15%. Big chances created on 0.34 per 90 and 1.26 chances created. He's a dribbler of the ball. He wins 66.7% of his attempts, wins 60.7% of his duels, touches in the opposition box, 4.59 per 90. He's one of the most aggressive fullbacks that you're going to see across Europe, but he's also defensively solid and capable, and he's someone who I would absolutely love to bring in one day. I think that if Bradley's injuries do not improve next season, I think that will be the time we see him leave, because he's, every time he comes back, he gets put in, he lasts a couple games, suffers another injury. I understand that, this one was not his fault, the Arsenal one, and he's not due back till about 2027. But I would not be shocked if he was to move away in the next couple of years, especially with Frimpong being there. I think most managers would prefer the way that Frimpong operates, that heavy attacking football, very quick, very good on recoveries, can drift centrally if needing to. Bradley's injury record mixed with, what we've been seeing from him so far this season as a result of that is a bit of a worry, and I would not be shocked if he is to leave, not this summer, but potentially the one after, even though he has not long just signed a new contract. But yeah, we'll move on from the talk of West Ham. 2-1 West Ham was my 2-1 West Ham, 2-1 to us against West Ham. Alisson, Kerkez, Van Dijk, Konate, Gomez, McAllister, Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, Gakpo, Ekitike, Salah. That was my starting 11. Now, we've got the next one, and I'm very proud of myself, actually, for this banner. Youth gone wild. There's been a big revolution in terms of the youth system at Liverpool. Now, as a club, we pride ourselves, or we like to pride ourselves, on having a vast number of young academy prospects breaking into the team. Obviously, Trent is the prime example over the past few years. Curtis Jones is another in the squad currently who's doing that. Gerald Quansah, we just sold him in the summer to Bayer Leverkusen for, I think he was our 8th most expensive sale, which is top quality. And through the years, there's been numerous examples of young players. But the point is, we've had a lot of young lads coming through the system who have been developing and are people who could potentially be mainstays in a Liverpool squad if they're managed correctly. However, there seems to be a bit of a revolt going on at the moment, with it being reported on Anfield Index, of course. You should all check out Anfield Index. Trent Kone-Doherty has joined Mould in a €750,000 deal. There is a buyback clause and a sell-on clause that is included in the deal. Now, I'm not going to pretend to know a vast amount about him. I'm not going to pretend to know a huge amount about Trent Kone-Doherty. He has played a couple games for us in cup competitions. He was in the Accrington Stanley match, I believe, last season he played in. He didn't score. That was Jayden Danns. But yeah, another example of a young player who's been viewed with potential, who is being sold on. Of course, we signed Will Wright this summer. Of course, Jayden Danns is apparently someone who Liverpool are still keeping tabs on because they view him as someone potential to come in. But he's not the only one. Now, as I mentioned earlier on in the stream, there was this lad, Oakley Canania, the ball boy, the Liverpool ball boy, who quickly threw the ball to Trent Alexander-Arnold before that corner, is leaving the Reds at the end of the season. He's now 21. And in his own words, for how he described the situation, for how he talked about what had happened, he said, you train all week, you train all the time, only to not get game time. It's crap. And that he will be leaving in the summer. Another youth system player who's just sort of come and gone. And it's becoming a bit of a trend now in the modern day with Liverpool. There was that rumour about Slot not turning up to the academy when he was asked to by Richard Hughes, all that stuff. We haven't seen a vast amount of youth developing through the team over the past 2 years, which was a big staple of Klopp's at points. It wasn't like every week, but you had Klopp's kids, or James McConnell in the team. Bobby Clark was being viewed as someone big for the future. Jayden Danns was a player who was coming through. Narlo, I know Narlo's got the same amount of red cards as Steve McMahon, so that's kind of his fault. But it felt as though there was a wave of young players coming through into the squad now, whereas so many of those players who were in that Klopp's kids team have now departed. And the only young players that we're currently seeing sort of promoted into the fold of things is Trainioni, who we signed from Leicester, I believe, or was it West Ham? I think it was Leicester. And Rio Ngumoha, who we signed from Chelsea. They count as youth players, of course, but there's not as many examples. And it's a worry for the Liverpool Academy lads who are coming through, where because the game is becoming so tactically set up, every little thing is being micromanaged, it's hard to sort of drill it into these young players that, they can fit into this team, they can play this system. And, Oakley Cannoneer leaving, Doherty leaving, 2 young players going. It's pure profit, I know, but it's still disappointing to see all these young lads leaving. And there's still brilliant, talented players in the youth systems. And it's not the first time that this has happened. We saw Harry Wilson. He went on loan several times. Shea Yojo, Ryan Kent. There's been vast amounts of Awani, not big players, but youth players who just keep going on loan and loan and loan and then eventually sold. And now you've got young lads who are just in the academy system going, what's the point? I'm not playing. I want to go. I want game time. Bobby Duncan, I think, is the best example in recent years. That whole debacle where he went to Fiorentina and it pretty much derailed his career, actually, of a young player who's like, I want to get game time. I want to go elsewhere. And I understand that there's only a small percentage of youth players who actually get through in the system. But the fact that this is how this one ends, the ball boy who gave the ball to Trent before the goal against Barcelona, and he's departing because he's like, this is crap. I'm not getting game time. I want to go. It's quite heartbreaking to see. And I hope it's not an indication of the youth system is just going to not fade out, because you always have to have them, but where we're not going to see young lads promoted into this team on a more frequent basis. Obviously, like I say, you've got Neoni and you've got Ngumoha, but I guarantee if we had a bit more depth, they would not be in and around the squad. Ngumoha was trusted because we didn't bring in a left winger. Apparently, that was always the message that was going to happen, but he isn't getting minutes, so I don't know how much of that I believe. Neoni has only played 208 minutes this season, if I recall correctly. 180 of them came in the Carabao Cup. So, it doesn't make for great reading in that regard, but it is what it is. We'll sort of end off on the talking points from the sort of press conference yesterday when he was talking about the game for today. Slot said, I don't expect Florian to be available. That is a disappointment, of course. It's supposedly a back issue and there's no sort of time frame on it. There is no sort of time frame on when or not he will be back or what the situation is. Every time a player is not available is disappointment. Also something I did not expect after last week, but that is sometimes how things evolve. Unfortunately, this time it is not in a positive way. The absence removes guile between the lines, the ability to receive on half-term and slide passes through compact defenses. Yes, that has been a worry. The player who's able to handle pressure in midfield and pick the ball through the eye of a needle is now gone. So the system that Slot employs is going to become even more regimented and routine and predictable. Can't wait for that. Defensive stability. There is little appetite for the third back line that has rediscovered its authority. Alisson remains the undisputed number one with a partnership of Konate. Dominic Szoboszlai is expected to continue at right back in an inverted role, stepping into midfield during possession phases, with Milos Kerkez offering balance on the left. In front of them, Ryan Gravenberch and Alexis McAllister provide technical security and bite. I just don't want to see Szoboszlai at right back, personally. I just don't. I think we need to play Gomez there. Just give us a bit more defensive nuance there. On attacking transitions, West Ham have been a pain in the arse for sides recently in those triangles. It can cause a headache for us. Jeremy Frimpong is available after a month out with a thigh injury, yet immediate reintegration feels unlikely, particularly when defensive metrics are trending positively. Slot's Liverpool have conceded little of late, and patience may be rewarded. And the Anfield Index, Mohamed Salah's form has enjoyed a quiet afternoon at the City ground and has gone 9 Premier League matches without a goal. Even so, his movement continues to distort defensive shapes, creating space for Gakpo and Ekitike. Unavailable for Liverpool are Isak, Leone, Bradley, Endo, and Vert. And the predicted 11 that they suggested was Alisson, Szoboszlai, Konate, Van Dijk, Kerkez, Gravenberch, McAllister, Salah, Jones, Gakpo, Ekitike. So a couple of changes to the one that we said. We said Gomez would come in for Szoboszlai and that Szoboszlai would take over from Jones in midfield. That's my one personally, but if you're going off the Anfield Index one, which, to be fair, it seems the most likely, but with Wolves in a couple of days, I expect a bit of rotation because this is going to be the harder of the two, perhaps. I don't know. I know Wolves just beat Villa, so who knows at this point anymore. But yeah, 2-1 Liverpool against West Ham. I hope. It's a non-negotiable that we have to win this game today. 3 points are vital if we want to keep pushing for Champions League football. Wolves next on Tuesday. Wolves again on Friday in the FA Cup. It's a big week. If we can get 6 points from them 2 games, Chelsea could drop more. United could drop more. Villa could drop more the way they're going at the moment. It could be massive for us. Bob Paddock says 2-3. He's got that to the away team, if I'm reading that correctly. He thinks West Ham 3, Liverpool 2. I hope not. If we do, then there's going to be a revolution, I can tell you now. But yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. Make sure to click like and subscribe here on Anfield Index. Go over to anfieldindex.com. There's all news articles. There's all sorts of stuff coming out over there. And let me know in the comments your thoughts, score predictions. And yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. Also, if you check out the Substack, it was always liverpool.com. You'll get articles from the likes of Jan Molby over there. Plenty of written stuff going on. Lots of content coming out. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. And